In the writing assignment for Term C, I'm going to ask you to describe or explain, in your opinion, how the writer of About Time, David Rooney, tries to create interest in his material. What does he do to make the reader feel comfortable with the book? And that technique will apply to the book as a whole. But then I want you to also look at what does he do in each chapter to try to create interest. Um, Things that you can look at concerning the first question, which is how does he create interest and try to maintain it for the whole book as you are considering it as a unit? What is the title trying to do? What is this notion of telling you up front that he has sort of a template and he's looking at clocks, 12 clocks, and how does that correspond to the number of chapters in the book? And what does that make you feel as a reader? Then I want you to also look at the words he uses at the head of the pages. Each chapter is characterized by one word that he has chosen. What does that help you do, help you feel as a reader in terms of how you can understand this book, how this book is trying to be much more user friendly, if you will, as you interact with it, as opposed to perhaps staying aloof or mystified as a work of demanding reading and deep philosophical concepts. Many writers might be intimidated by that. That's not to say that they won't be able to understand that if they give it the time and the attention. But if you're at a bookstore or at a library and you've got 20 books ahead of you, why would you ever pick up this one as opposed to others that might suggest to you that they are going to be rewarding and maybe helping you grow as a thinker, as in knowledge, but also easier to read than this other book over here. Why would you ever pick up this other book if you're going to basically get the same thing, this sort of same type of growth out of both, but this one just looks easier to read. So he has each of us is unique. We have unique ways of thinking and unique desires, unique vision. I mean, we are who we are, and I think we make a major mistake when we try to be someone else in the sense of uh, style or um, thinking, speaking. You can get into problems that way because you walk away from authenticity. Now, that is not to say you shouldn't try to grow in these areas, but the growth has to be organic and from the inside out. You can't be a posier or a just a copier of someone else. That's what I mean when you're moving away from that thing that you were made to be. So Rooney, maybe he just loves history. Maybe he likes these types of things. Just studying clocks or studying dams. I mean, have you ever really thought about a dam and how that thing works? I mean, how it holds back all that water, and all that power it can produce, and politics behind dam building, and the amount of money that is in there, and there's a whole book written on that. Unfortunately, I forget the whole title, but I believe it's Cadillac Desert. And I gave that book 10, 15 pages, and I couldn't stop reading because it was incredibly interesting. Now, part of that might be me. Maybe I'm just curious in a lot of things, but I'm also sort of placing a bet, if you will. I'm also making a supposition, an assumption that if you are made in the image of a higher power, a higher intelligence that is personable, that is not just some sort of force field, but has self identity, not only knows who they are, but knows who you are, and they made you in your image. In that image, they did that. They gave you that type of mind on a smaller scale. Then you are hardwired to be curious and to learn and to enjoy learning. It's just that you are doing it over the wrong things if you are struggling with this. And maybe you don't have a choice over it. Maybe you're in some sort of industrialized education system, and that's just the way it is. I mean, you're going to have to go to that class, you have to read that book, you have to do that assignment. And maybe that is just not interesting to you, but you are deeply interested in some other things over here that perhaps is a bit frustrating right now because you might not be getting time to do that. I do believe that's a mistake in the way we've set up our education, but our current models of education are like over trees that are in their maturity. I mean, the tree is the tree. It's bent a certain way already. You can't rebend it. It has matured into the thing it is. So if we want to redo education, perhaps it's better just to start a new tree and to let it grow from small. People are doing this now. We're moving away from some of the older models, and the micro school um, path is just one example of this. But anyway, we digress. I had to put in a little plug there. But the point is, this book wants to be read. The press wants to sell it. I'm talking about time. They want to sell it to libraries. The libraries want to see it at price. So Rooney and really any writer that wants to write on that level has to figure out ways to interface with the writer, with the readers in ways that lower anxiety or tension, um, that make the book an object of desire in terms of not intimidating, something that is truly going to reward you, something that's readable, something that's understandable. All right. Now, this book is already dated. If you look at the verso of the copyright page and find the C symbol, the C with a circle around it, you'll see when it was printed, and it's getting old. So, in terms of all that we are producing in this contemporary decade, so the question is, I want you to start looking at this. How is he trying to get you to understand his approach and what he's doing just by looking at the title? You can tell already his 12 divisions. And then if you look at his chapters and the words he uses to describe the chapters, he's trying to give you little toeholds, if you will, as you're trying to move through this, this climbing experience or whatever you want to, whatever metaphor works for you here. But and then how does he start each chapter? I want you to think about that. I want you to remember what you read. You read the first paragraph of every chapter. How does he start it? So that if you were to read the first line of that chapter, you might be very comfortable with reading the second line and maybe the third line. And that's not to say that you're just going to read the chapter, but he's trying to do something there at the beginning of every chapter that is trying to create interest. What is that? All right, I want you to think about this. All right. Now, the next assignment here for the reading of this is to go ahead and read, find places in this book that are interesting to you. I want you to just to leaf through it. All right, and I want you to pick little sections. Now, I call this spot reading because you're just picking spots at random. To do section reading means like you're going to read the first 3 pages of every chapter. You can identify that as a section of the book, and those sections reappear after you. Spot reading is just basically open it up and read a spot. Then flip a few pages, read another spot. You're just jumping all over the place because why not? You might run into something that's interesting. All right. So it might be feel really uncomfortable. It's radically nonlinear. Open it up and read a few, wherever your eyes land, read a few sentences. Turn the page, read another. All right. And just do spot reading throughout this book. All right. There's going to be a time limit for how much time you need to put into that. But remember, let's just go over really quickly the difference between section reading, skimming, and spot reading. Okay. Section reading is something recognizable in the book, like if you're going to read the first half of the book, that's the section you picked, and you plow through that, you read it. If you're going to read the first 50 pages, that's a definable section. You see what I'm saying? If you just want to read the odd chapters, whatever, I don't know, that you get the point that those are defined sections, right? But spot reading is just jumping out around all over the place. Just let your eyes roam as you flip the pages, look at the pictures, try to find something interesting. If there's some dialogue that looks like it's about a joke or something, I don't know, just you're jumping around all over the place. You're just picking spots at random, but you're moving through it. Okay, so just open the book up, read a spot, and then open it up again, read another spot, and just see what happens. Okay, see what happens. It doesn't look like there could be a lot that happens out of this, but you'll be surprised. Okay, we want to have this as one of our techniques, spot reading. Okay, now the difference between spot and section is spot is just purely random, purely random. You're looking at pictures, you're looking at anything that interests you on that page, and if there's nothing there, flip it, flip 10 of them at once. I don't know, spot, random. Okay, now skimming is when you really do decide that you're going to read a section, a part of the book, but you're not reading every word. You're kind of going faster. You're kind of just skimming the lines because you realize that you can kind of move your eyeballs a lot faster on those lines, not get every word, but you can get the sense. Some books really are good for skimming, some aren't. But then once you hit a spot where you feel like you have to slow down because something important is happening there, or you want to just really get all of it, you slow down and you just start doing standard reading. You see what I'm saying? So skimming is like standard reading, but just accelerated, and also not necessarily going all the way across the page. Sometimes it's sort of a diagonal way to go down like that, or you're just moving your eyes across a page, but you're not just going to go to the next random spot in the book. You're going to turn the page and you're going to try to keep on reading. You're trying to read fast if you feel you can get away with it, but then you might have to slow down when you realize you're not understanding anything, or somehow you got lost. Then you slow down, you back up, and you start just standard reading. Okay, so skimming and standard reading is kind of like going together. Think of it in terms of let's think of it in terms of movie watching. If you were to watch sections of movies, you got 10 movies here, right? And you're like, well, I'm just going to watch the first 10 minutes of every movie to find the one that I want to. Okay, that's section watching, if you will. Okay, and then let's say that you are you have one movie, or and you're like, well, I'm just going to put this in, and I'm just going to let it play wherever it lands, and then I'm just going to fast forward, and I'll just stop when I want to stop, and I'll watch that, and then I'll fast forward and stop. I don't care. I'll let someone else fast forward it. Just okay. That's just kind of spot watching, and we rarely do this when we're watching a movie. We do it much more with books, but we kind of also do this with channel surfing. If you've ever been on, someone that's just flipping through the channels on TV, or if on YouTube, if you're just trying to find the video that's funny and you're just going through all sorts of videos, you're spot watching. Okay, if you want to think of it that way. Now, let's just say that you actually settle on a movie to watch or a video to actually watch, right? And then you're watching it. You started off in a regular way, that's standard watching, standard reading, and then you're like, I think I can fast forward like a minute here. Let's just see if I can fast forward, and I'll stop as soon as I feel like I need to. You're not just jumping around in a random way. You're just kind of speeding it up a little bit. Okay, so that's what I'm calling here skimming. And then you stop when you feel like you've hit another important part, and you watch the regular way, standard reading. Then you skim. Then okay, so we'll do that as the very last assignment for with About Time in assignment number 10, but uh, or 9, the last one. But right now, I want you to go ahead and just do spot reading in the book, okay? And look at the assignment that we're on here and see how long you need to do it. You can just set up a timer and do it, all right? Hey, thanks for watching. Go to it. I hope that you do it with goodwill, and just try to see how it feels, and give it a chance, Give these strategies a chance. They can be really good things if you learn how to do them well. And if you buy into this notion of lifelong learning, you're going to have to learn how to control the flood of information. They're going to come to you as text, whether they're audio or visual, or handheld like a book. Um, audio being podcasts, music, audiobooks, whatever. Visual being movies, films, videos, and then your handheld material here, um, sight reading. So you need to learn how to move through this material so that it doesn't overwhelm you. All right. And if you're still thinking I need to read every word of every page, then you are far from where we want you to be in terms of mastering the amount of material and learning how to find profitable paths to walk through as you try to master this, and try to control the information that comes your way versus being controlled by it. So this is just another strategy that can help you with this spot reading.